If you've been following the Mind Mastery journey, today's session takes things to a whole new level. And if you're one of many who joined for hypnotic influence content, you're in for a treat, because today we're merging both worlds. You're about to experience something few realize is possible: subconsciously programming perspective flexibility, bypassing conscious efforts with the same language patterns the practitioners use to install lasting, beneficial change in their clients. And you can choose right now whether you want to experience this as someone learning to influence yourself more effectively, or as someone studying these patterns to use with others. Because either way, you'll discover how perspective shifting becomes automatic when you leverage the right approach. When you shift perspectives effortlessly, you strengthen your mind and become naturally more persuasive, both with yourself and others. And the beautiful thing about these patterns is that they only work when they serve your highest good. Your unconscious mind naturally filters and accepts only what enhances your life. So go ahead and get comfortable, because you're about to learn how the most skilled communicators install new ways of thinking. Begin by noticing any current challenge. Just let it come into focus before you and settle into your awareness. And just for a moment, allow yourself to fully acknowledge whatever is there. Because sometimes, and this is important, before you can develop or lead someone to a new perspective, you must first establish a starting point and meet them there. Validate the current experience and create rapport that makes all influence possible. As you acknowledge what is, you create the foundation for what can be. And this acknowledgement opens the door to transformation. And now, from this place of acknowledgement, you can begin to shift naturally into a more resourceful state, allowing you to see opportunities where others see obstacles, discovering possibilities and choices of how to define, explore, prepare, decide how you'd like to go forward. This is the perspective that brilliant minds use when they turn resistance into cooperation, when they find the advantage in any situation. And as you access this strategic mindset, you might be surprised to discover how solutions appear automatically, because you are and have always been naturally strategic. You find ways forward, and every time you practice this shifting, you become more skilled at instantly accessing this resourceful state. From an even higher perspective, floating above the situation like a wise observer, watching with compassion and clarity, seeing the whole chessboard while others only see individual pieces. You can see patterns clearly. You can understand and organize connections that weren't visible before. This is the perspective of wisdom, of skilled negotiators, of anyone who influences with elegance, because when you observe without attachment, you see the whole system, and systems can be influenced at leverage points. And you might find that as you observe these patterns, time seems to slow down or speed up. And in that altered state, insights come naturally, understanding deepens, clarity emerges from the bigger picture. And if you're finding these perspective shifts surprisingly natural, that's because your unconscious mind is already integrating these patterns, and the most powerful perspectives are on the way. Now, imagine yourself sometime from now, looking back at this moment, and from that future perspective, you can see how this challenge became your teacher, guided your breakthrough, led to your success. And you can feel that future version of yourself smiling in appreciation for how perfectly this challenge prepared you for your success. And that future you knows something that present you is just beginning to understand. And that knowing can flow backward through time into this present moment, so that you already have the wisdom already possesses strength. You already are becoming the person who handles this with grace. And just as you naturally want to return to states that serve you, you might find yourself naturally drawn to explore more content like this, content that expands your capabilities, enhances your influence, develops your skills. Because growth-oriented people automatically seek out resources that accelerate their development. And now, accessing that wise part of you that always knows the right thing to say, that sees the bigger picture from the right angle effortlessly. This mentor voice, your own deepest wisdom, speaks clearly now, and you trust this inner guidance. You follow this intuition. You act boldly from this wisdom, because knowing yourself well, you are your own best advisor. You are your own greatest resource. And now you can shift between all these perspectives as easily as breathing. And each time you practice this shifting, the pathways become stronger, the transitions smoother, the wisdom deeper, stacking and compounding your natural flexibility. And every time you make this shift, you anchor this flexibility, strengthen this ability, you master this skill, selecting perspectives and combining the knowledge and context they provide, focusing on the ones that serve you best. And these same perspective shifts that work so powerfully on yourself work equally well when guiding others, because when you can model flexibility, others naturally follow. When you demonstrate options, others see their possibilities. When you embody resourcefulness, you can influence others to access their own resources. In the days and weeks ahead, you'll find yourself automatically shifting perspectives, effortlessly accessing wisdom, naturally influencing outcomes. And you might be pleasantly surprised to discover how problems that once seemed overwhelming now become fascinating challenges that you handle with enhanced skill. In a moment, I'll bring you back and you'll return, knowing you are someone who thinks expansively, influences with integrity, someone who shifts perspectives naturally, someone who empowers positive change, both in your life and in others.